I was planning on hosting this episode unless somebody else was going to.
I had things prepared, actually.
Okay.
The
I'm
thing
fine
is, I
with you
did have
doing it.
things prepared, but partway
Then,
through
yeah,
preparing for this episode, I'm like, I wasn't there for the last time, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
feels
yeah.
kind of wrong for me to just uh take over, as it were.
Oh, it's I don't care at all. What I was gonna say is I have a suspicion that you have more Ellis stuff, but
Yeah, it's
so
something that's actually very near and dear to my heart, especially in relation to this podcast here. Salt, you remember our very first recording and our very second first recording? Do you remember the segment that we had about Warren Ellis's newsletter, which I was still getting for some reason?
Oh, barely. But bring it up in the episode. It might jog my memory.
it's
Oh,
been
don't
some
worry, we're
time.
already in it, bro. We're already
in it. Great.
We're already in it. We are already in it. Yeah, no, I was thinking about that, because Warren Ellis's newsletter, which I had forgotten to unsubscribe for, and, I think it was like 2 years, not even 2 years, after it went on hiatus because of what happened with him. I came back somewhat unceremoniously, and I had reported on the first few newsletters that I had seen in my inbox at the time. That was 4 years ago, and it's still going. The newsletter is still going. I did check up on it again. And it's crazy because he's just doing it like nothing is happening around it. He is very much off social media, and he actually makes a note of it on his website. Like he is no longer on social media or making any appearances on the public circuit, as it were. And yeah, it's crazy because like he's putting out newsletters like nothing happened, and nothing is being said, as though nothing is being said about his return to comics.
Right. I mean, I'll tap into the newsletter every once in a while, to see, particularly around when there's little things are happening, right? Little announcements and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just to see what and yeah, I mean, he keeps it very, very, I don't want to say professional. He keeps it very on business though, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I've been talking to Templesmith about, it's Fell, right? They did
Yes,
Templesmith
that's
did
right.
Fell. And they were
That
trying
was
to
the
reprint
last
it and stuff
attempt.
like that.
That was the last
And
attempt at coming back.
right before announcements happen, he mentions that, and then he kind of mentions it like periodically through that time period. But for the most part, yeah, it just looks how it did before. It's haunting.
Yeah, it's fascinating because like if you were someone who was not tapped into like the social aspect of comics, right? Like if you're someone who would, because again, even with everything that happened, Ellis's books still show up in recommendation lists. It still shows up in like, people say, 100 comics you need to read before you die. Transmetropolitan obviously is always a book that comes up. Same with like Next Wave. You're talking like
Extremis,
100 Marvel comics, so you have
Next Wave,
right?
Planetary. Those are all going to be in the mix.
He still lingers in the comics consciousness, even despite the fact that he is so far removed from the actual social media, social presence aspect of it. It's a specter.
Right.
And yeah, it's why? What do I got to shut up for?
I don't know. Spectre just seems loaded for some reason. I don't know.
Is that because Lanterns is coming out soon?
Sure.
That's another thing where it's like, yeah, the seriousness. And just, watching this documentary, this piece of shit documentary, I should say, and just thinking about how different a time 2011 was,
Yeah,
dude, that was all I could think.
Crazy, so crazy. And I feel bad for a lot of the people that were interviewed. Not Helen Mirren. I don't feel bad for her, Zionist bitch. But most of the people there, they had no idea what was going to happen 9 years down the line, right? In some cases, they didn't even know what was going to happen to them very soon. right? The most haunting thing about the documentary is seeing people who would later come out as victims of Warren Ellis being interviewed for the documentary.
That is strange.
Honestly, I'm excited to talk about this thing. So, I guess we'll introduce it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Midnight Grappler Animals, home of Flub Nation. I today am your host, Keigen, and with me I have two not parasocial lackeys, Lan and Salt. Hey guys, how nasty do you feel?
You know, I was thinking
I'm
about
just
how
a
we
right
also met through a
bastard.
forum.
Yeah,
You go.
start a forum.
We all met through a
You
forum.
know what?
Do you ever think about that,
forum
Salt?
moderators here?
Dang, that's crazy.
This is we're all downstream. We're all downstream of the effects. Well, if that was our cold open, what we just said, you already kind of know what we're doing today. But if you have the mind of a 4-year-old, I'll go ahead and spell it out for you. We're covering the documentary Warren Ellis. Actually, what is the title of the documentary?
Warren Ellis capture ghosts.
Capture ghosts, chasing ghosts.
No, it's fuck.
It's
Captured ghosts.
Captured,
ghosts.
not capturing, captured.
And this is part of our Canceled Comics Cavalcade series that we so lovingly have done. Now, really do want to preface something right now. We are not story chasers, okay? If you're listening to this and you're going, wow, Midnight Grappler Animals, they heard that Warren Ellis was going to publish a new comic and they decided to do an episode about it. Fuck you, okay? We've been talking about this for months.
Listen,
we've been talking about this for months.
2 months ago, because I wasn't on the last episode, right? And I had put it in my playlist for podcasts, and I had finally gotten to the episode to actually listen to it like 2 months ago. And after listening to it, I was like, wow, Keigen Salt, my good friends Keigen Salt, they did such a wonderful job with this episode. I think we should do a follow-up. And so I brought it up, and I'm like, hey guys, I finally got around to listening to the episode. That's on me, first off. But I think we should do an episode on Warren Ellis too, because that was one of the other documentaries that was mentioned in that episode.
Yes. Now, I will also say, in an episode that hasn't released yet, but you will listen to it because you're a dear listener, I also talked about Stormwatch and The Authority, okay, because I had just read those for the first time. Also, that was months ago, okay? We've been cooking this up for some time. Just real life, everything, it's a confluence. If anything, is just good timing, terrible timing, whatever. Okay, it's time. It's time.
Synchronicity, as Carl Jung would say.
Synchronicity. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you.
I think with the timing that you bring up there, Keigen, what the Canceled Comics Cavalcade series proves with our Neil Gaiman episode and now our Warren Ellis episode is that cancel culture isn't real, but it might be better if it was.
That's true.
Yes,
that's true. That's true. So again, now if you are listening to this episode because it is topical, because you're a disgusting news follower, go listen to our Gaiman one. It's a really good episode. I think it's one of the episodes I'm maybe most proud of in terms of like, I feel like I came to that episode prepared enough, and Salt still brought so much extra stuff there that was just, it's a very good conversation about a horrible, evil piece of shit. It rolls, and I think there's a lot there between this documentary and that documentary as well. And yeah, so the documentary we were talking about, as mentioned before, came out. It was released in 2011. Which itself has some interesting connotations. Obviously, The other important things that I'm sure we will talk about is the allegations against Warren Ellis that came out in 2020, and sort of the aftermath of those allegations, kind of unpacking that. As I'm on the record pretty frequently talking about, canceling as a cultural thing is really messy, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But to start, obviously, we got to cover this horrible movie that we all sat through on YouTube. This awful artifact. But first, Salt, I want to ask you about the comparisons to the Gaiman one, because they're very different beasts.
Yes, the Gaiman documentary, something it has going for it is there's a narrative structure based around this signing tour.
Yes.
Right. There's something happening.
Yeah. There's a through line, like there's something that drives the documentary from start to finish, right? Like, oh, this is just a pure hagiography, man. Like, this is just.
I think it's
what testimonials, customer testimonials. Unfortunately, is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, I've been trying to compare this to something, and it's there's an aimlessness to it, but the aimlessness doesn't invalidate its value, and it makes me think about that tweet of the white guy on a jet ski where people said, "Oh, this is how family annihilators are."
Yes, yes.
But now it's like that photo of the guy on the jet ski is actually a still frame of a longer video with sound, and we're watching that guy smiling on his jet ski saying, "I'm gonna kill you, Jennifer," and he's like smiling and laughing. Like, that is the effect of this documentary.
It is.
It's like it's so awful, because it is very much like one of those things like there's no way we could have seen this coming. And then there's like video footage, basically saying like, yes, I will do this. This is the kind of man I am.
His best friend is Joss Whedon, yes. Like,
yes.
Like, I'm sorry. Did that of us?
Also, on that note of Land calling this pure hagiography, I think I mentioned this on the Gaiman episode, but I need to reiterate. I've seen the Grant Morrison documentary made by the same filmmaker, Patrick Meany, and not only have I seen the Grant Morrison documentary, I saw its theatrical debut like 15 years ago.
That makes sense.
And my freak.
At that time, I was smiling, I was hooting, I was hollering. Like, it can't be overstated how much these documentaries, the only person they are for is people who are already in the fan club.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much to dig into just in regards to like the intent of this documentary, who it's made for, what exactly it's trying to do. And, this is something I was thinking about when I was listening to the Gaiman episode too, is like, there is an Arrested Development, and it's an Arrested Development that honestly at this point, it's safe to say will never be escaped from, which is that comics readers, writers, creators, everything related to comics has this embarrassment to it, this pure embarrassment that they're trying to escape from, that they'll never be able to. The intent of the Gaiman documentary, and even this one, really is to do the whole comics aren't just for kids. Comics aren't just for nerds. Cool people read comics too. We got porn stars that read comics too, guys. Comics doesn't have to just be wham, bam, and pow. There's such a thing as a graphic novel. And again, in 2011, I'm sure there's just cause for it, but the Gaiman one really is an extra level of it, where 2016 comics have already hit the mainstream, right? Like, the MCU is in full swing, superheroes are in full swing, and just the victim complex of comic creators and the comics fandom, that they are still the underdog, paints a picture of like what kind of what kind of person this documentary was made for.
Yeah, I mean, I
that
find that
really
interesting.
sets the stage.
Yeah, I find that interesting too, though, just because like comics is a weird like Ellis found his way into comics, but even throughout the thing, his dad was a novelist, and he says in 10 years I'll be working in prose. I won't. I'll be doing comics because I like doing comics, but like I will be writing prose because of the schedule of everything, and like it all interacts really interesting to the other thing of like this feels like like a comic book club put together a video about themselves in some
Yes.
way, right? Like it's very much by the subjects for the subjects in a big way, in a way that like I think that like it's almost more likely to me that Matt Fraction would sit down and watch this documentary than like my comic shop owner.
Mm.
If that makes sense. Like this doesn't feel like an actual documentary that's trying to like communicate information about Warren Ellis or the people around Warren Ellis. It feels like people being like, this was good times, right? It's a yearbook almost.
Yes. Yes.
And I think the unfocused nature of it is that, and it's so unfocused. Like one of my first notes, like maybe not a first note, but I was like, what is the thesis of this? Like,
yeah, what is it trying to say? Like, what is it trying to say about Warren Ellis?
Yeah. And I mean, I took that note immediately after he talked about his dad's book where it's the two guys, are you a betting man? Are you a betting man? They bet the company on their dick size.
Yeah.
Why is that in here? There's no good reason. It's weird. It's a weird documentary. So a lot of weird parts. That was my first weird part that I included. That I put in my notes.
My first note was the this movie was made by Respect Films or produced by Respect Films.
Hell yeah.
Which unfortunately got a chuckle out of me.
It did.
One thing I know Warren Ellis for, it's respect. The second note I took was, I forget who said it, but early on during like the quick sizzle reel of people saying things about Warren Ellis, one of them say, Warren Ellis will fuck you with the future and make you say thank you.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if that person thinks about that these days.
Yeah.
But dude, that's the vibe of the Gaiman documentaries.
Yeah.
There's so many of these sound bites that feel designed
like,
to
no.
allude to the future.
Why'd you do that to me in the future? No, yeah, I do. I think the Gaiman one, it's a different thing. Like the Gaiman one really does feel like we're unfolding a horrible man into more dimensions. That's what that documentary did to me, was like, this is a famous man who used his fame for horrible things.
There's an
Ellis,
element of
is that
ego,
too?
I think. Like the ego element in the Gaiman one just isn't
Right.
there.
But
in its place, there's something even worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when you get into stuff like So Many of Us, so much of seemingly, Ellis is a manipulative person fundamentally who used his power, and he used the effect of that power on other people in directed ways, whether he was purposefully like consciously thinking of doing that stuff, or he just learned patterns of behavior of how to get nudes and stuff from ladies. Like whatever thing there is, if he was just like chasing his sexual fantasies, or if he was consciously like wanting to manipulate people, whatever, either way the effect was bad, right? But like it also, in the actual, like, anytime somebody talks about what's going on there, he's like, Ellis is trying to do the nicer things socially a lot of the times. Like he will apologize in manipulative ways, and he will like continue to communicate and try to like make things better. Again, most of the times, I think most of the testimonials end up falling to like he's trying to clean up his image, and like these are all manipulative behaviors that aren't good. But it is a very different he's a very different kind of pest And I think that's also like one of the reasons why even in 2020 I was talking about trying to do something like this in different group chats. It's like it's hard for people to understand exactly what, like, where the gray area of Ellis crosses into like being a pest, being assault, where it turns into assault. And I think that's also one of the weird things here, because it's like the he'll fuck you with the future and make you say thank you is like, we talked about this with Gaiman, and we talked about this with rock stars, particular Salt, last time, where it's like consent is weird here because of Ellis's power, in particular because he wielded it in a way that people think was very egalitarian, you know?
Yeah, the Warren Ellis forum aspect of it, especially,
Right.
like that was the big, this is meant to be the great equalizer. Will Wheaton himself says Warren Ellis understands the internet in a way that a lot of other creators and certainly publishers don't.
Right.
And it's crazy because, that part of the documentary starts moving away from the Ellis aspect of it too, right? Like as it starts going into people develop friendships, people develop careers, people got married off of the Warren Ellis forum, right? Like that sort of separation between Warren Ellis as a person and Warren Ellis as a proprietor of a platform that allowed other people that have careers to this day to like proliferate and grow. It muddies things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Salt.
Well, to jump on both of your points, I was dwelling on that muddiness, that obfuscation a lot for the last few days, and I was trying to contrast this with the nature of the allegations against Gaiman. And, they're both monstrous in different ways. I feel that for Gaiman, he had this like really bizarre complex of wanting to dominate women for his own satisfaction and, denigrate them and all that. And while Ellis has that too, the component that separates it is the career aspect or the potential career aspect. Like you get with Fraction saying, oh, like people are building careers out of this. Half of us became comics creators ourselves. If you're a young woman and you start talking to Warren Ellis and he's telling you, hey, I really like your art, then he puts you through this whole ordeal of ignoring you, lying to you. Like once he's gotten what he's wanted, he's slept with you or gotten nudes or whatever, and now you got nothing from him. If I was that young woman, I would be terrified. I would feel this man might slander me. I would feel like, wait, is another man in the comics industry going to just use me for sex? Like the fact that he did this...
It's the Weinstein element of it, right? Like,
yes,
it's
exactly.
the exact same thing that happened with Weinstein.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that's something that was pointed out. I actually think I don't want to put me on a record here, but like I think, and I don't think anything actually happened, but G. Willow Wilson actually like gestured towards some of this stuff when the allegations came out, saying that like other women in comics that were around the same time that were not in the Warren Ellis forums, that were not, in the club or tangential to the club, were like not suspicious. I can't remember her exact wording on it, but it was basically like there was they noted it, and just thinking about the number of, right, you go to so many of us, there's 37 testimonials, I believe. No, 36. There's many of them are anonymous. They all basically put out a timeline. They're all kind of the same ages, and so all that kind of like, hey, we chatted online for a while. It got really flirty and sexual. Some of them sent pictures, some of them didn't. But it is the sort of thing of like, one, the clubhouse protected Ellis. They protected his image that allowed him to do that other stuff. But we don't know. We don't know how many people were coerced out of work, or who thought that that was the way in to get some work. I think one of the nastiest, not the nastiest, one of the sad parts of this too is like the professionals. We actually saw, even though this hasn't been published yet, we talked about Scott Alley recently, and like the closer you are, the harder it is to kind of figure this stuff out. And the people who were closer to Ellis, who had the most to gain from Ellis, all of them immediately stood up and like supported so many of us as a concept. They are pillars of it as well, even if their testimonials aren't included because nothing happened to them, because Ellis protected them from himself. But it is a thing of just like this is one where it's really impossible to know its real effects because of the forum setting, because of the number of years covered, because of like even down to things of like, it was one of these, the first testimonial talks about like, this wasn't, things got sexual, but nothing ever went forward from there. I'm only including my voice because it was uncomfortable. And I think it supports everyone else who is coming forward. Right. And how many of those borderline cases went into a grosser area where it was coercive, we have no idea. And I think that's one of the things of like so many of us, as it's 37 or 36 different testimonials of this thing that we can track across time. And that's kind of what's horrific about it. It is the scale and the duration. Through his sickness, through like different career things, through his daughter's life, like all of this stuff, he's targeting these young women and manipulating them. Like,
the horrifying thing in the documentary is like early on he's talking about not having kids or not wanting to have kids, and then later on he talks about his daughter, and that is that, and it's crazy because so many of these things, like seeing them in the documentary, I think back to 2020 as the stuff was happening, like a lot of the things that were being said, like people mentioning, how could this happen with relation to, him being a father to a daughter,
Sure.
and it's such a weird thing to experience this as not necessarily an after effect, but it's so weird because it's like it's not necessarily like I mentioned, a lot of it is how could this happen, and he's in the documentary saying like, oh, I'm gonna kill them, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna rip their eyes out or whatever. But so much of it is haunting is the word that I have, is because again, the documentary maker, the director, he didn't know, the people being interviewed, they didn't know, some of the worst part is like some of his victims, the ones that would come out in that so many of us letter, right, are in this documentary, and it's it's haunting to like see them there in this panel of folks that again, it's very easy to call this a hagiography, but it's a hagiography because no one knew, right? Like no one knew what kind of person Ellis was at the time.
When you see
no one of the people that were being interviewed, for the record, like odds are there are people that knew even back then.
When you see those people in the documentary, like there's one person named Zoetica Ebb, when that person's being interviewed, I know they were someone who came forward.
Right.
You see them giving this like this if you will hagiographical adulations towards Ellis. You can't help but psychoanalyze and go like, how much of this at the time is coming from a place of fear or coercion? Like you really try to look into their eyes and understand what's going on. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, and that's also like I don't know. It is kind of sickening to be in that position, to wonder, like where were they at that point in their relationship with Ellis? right? Because that's not on us. Like we're not the arbiters. We're not the ones that can actually like analyze, right? Like we don't know what the nature of any of their relationships with Ellis at the time were, right? Like some people will feature in the documentary because it's the nice thing to do, right? Um, and it's no, I don't know. It's hard. You can't blame anyone, right? Like you can't blame any of the people that were interviewed, for being in this documentary, except for Helen Mirren.
Except for Helen Mirren.
Except
No
for
business
Helen
being
Mirren.
here.
No business. Absolutely zero. Her and Will
Where was
Wheaton.
Bruce Willis? Where was
Her-
Bruce Willis? Get him.
But yeah, it's tough because like you look back at this, and even though you can't blame any of the people for being in this documentary, the truth remains that it is effectively a hagiography of Warren Ellis. Right. And that is just something that is on record. This is a record, a historical document in a way. And yeah, it just sucks. It just sucks to go back to this so many years later.
I do want to, like, as far as specific, like the specific people in this movie, I think one of the more important conversations we can have, one of the more important thought experience we can have with ourselves, whatever, with Warren Ellis's canceling specifically, right? With what was wrong here specifically is the fluid nature of consent, right?
Yeah, and the other thing to note before we say canceling is not the right word, because
right,
the people that came
there
out
were air
about
quotes
it,
there, right? Yeah. Well, we'll talk about so many of us more later too. I think that there will be space to cover what they actually wanted, and like, I'm not gonna arbitrate anybody's moral decisions, but they did very clearly outline what they wanted to be done, right? So if we want to work in line with people who have been hurt by Warren Ellis, we actually literally have what they're asking us to do, right? So again, canceling is in quotes. It is a fair definition of what happened, I think, by the public, but at the same time, again, we'll have space. But I just want to talk, like, the fluid nature of consent, in particular with these things that are around intercourse, specifically like actual sex, is very murky, and I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people at the time didn't really get why anybody was concerned about this, and I mean, it's like this really is just internet poisoning. Like what Ellis was doing was it's like we've seen people time and time again, like, use their limited men, the vast majority men, use their limited power via parasociality, turning it into real social power with others and manipulating it into any number of things. And like, I think maybe we've gotten too numb to the concept of like sharing nudes, right? Or like sexting. Maybe that's just we're too beyond that as internet poisoned humans. But it's like just the degree that he was doing it, and again, like the fluidity of consent is that, like, I think sending nudes especially is really tough to kind of tackle with that. Because again, there's another testimonial where it's like, I did this for years, right? Like we were friends, and this was part of like how I artistically connect with myself and nature, and like this is just one of the things I do to express myself. And it took someone else telling me that Ellis was doing this shit to kids, adult teens, for me to realize, was I manipulated?
Right, and it's crazy because in this documentary too, they also do mention the bit about Ellis just posting esoteric porn to the forum itself.
Yeah.
Right, and it's treated as this like, it's it's
he's
just
our
a
dirty
quirky
uncle
thing that he does,
Yeah.
like, because and that speaks to the nature of the relationships, right? Like, looking back now, Obviously there's a much more um keen eye, I guess, to these things, to be like, oh yes, this is an example of that behavior. But there was a time, like you said, these bits and pieces of his character were just quirks, right? And
Mhm.
in the lens of the internet and the lens of these, digital relationships, it is a quirk, or it is viewed as a quirk. Salt, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, something you learn about manipulators who do really terrible stuff to people is they have kind of these plans or paths they take where they want to push you and see how much you can take, right? And when he's mentioning this like really awful, disgusting porn and unsettling images he's posting to the forums, it kind of feels like this gauntlet. Like, oh, the people that can commiserate with him and like joke about this stuff, those are the people that can get closer to Warren.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a cult like
that's such
thing.
a good point.
It's
Yeah.
it's an
It's a
initiation.
humiliation ritual.
No,
Yeah,
the
It's
cult
hazing.
the cult of personality was reminding me of Cesar Chavez, actually.
Yes.
Like our conversations around him was just like, this is so reminiscent of that. He's created this space where he's a messiah, right? The word used in the documentary. He's created
That's
this space where
right.
he's
That's crazy.
Yeah.
it's nuts, dude. And like he gets to do whatever he wants, and like again, that's kind of, I think it's a good illustration of consent, because it's like there's a point where everybody in the room goes, actually, like, when did the line move,
Yeah.
and when did I move with it?
And that was his that was his goal all along, right?
Mhm.
And
mean-
even if it, like, whether it was or not, right? Like he wanted to be successful in comics too, for sure, right? But like, it's like either way, it's what he did,
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's one of those things of I think a lot of these testimonials kind of get into that, where it's like, I don't know if he's like a diseased man or if this is purposeful, but like the effect is that he couldn't stop doing this to young women. Also, I mean, okay, I'm 30 and I'm like a 19-year-old as a child. Like, that's the other part of this, is I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like, you old man. It's disgusting. It disgusts me. God, it's terrible.
Can I tack a different way for a moment?
Of course.
The allegations here are awful, and centering this around the allegations is what's most important here. But something a little more general that really struck me watching this is, if you're not so intimately familiar with most of his body of work, and if you don't know the allegations, which is me, like, I only learned about the allegations, I don't know, maybe like a year ago or two. That I was never like that much plugged into Ellis, and I've only read a few works. The overall effect of this documentary of you on the viewer is just how annoying and awful this man is. The cumulative effect is, it's those interstitial interviews with Garth Marenghi in Dark Place. If Garth Marenghi like had half the charm and was like smoking and drinking performatively, he's so annoying.
Yeah. You know what? I do want to kind of touch on some of that too, because like 2011 is such a weird time for this documentary to come out, because like, I mean, I can't speak to this very strongly, but I think for most of the years of my comic reading, Ellis was still he was the hipster goat, right? Like, people are still going with Alan Moore or Grant Morrison over him 9 times out of 10. Like, he did things in books that were like important, but
and
not.
they mentioned that in the documentary too, right?
Yes.
Like,
and that's why,
everything with
2011
authority, everything
Right,
with Transmetropolitan, like, even if it is a hagiography, there is a truth in like him being part of this sea change in comics.
Right. And it's like he's important, but like there's these other guys that we like more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it was mostly. It wasn't until like kind of like Huxpox around 2018, 2019 ish that it felt like the tide changed in Ellis's favor. And it was like, he went on a heater with Moon Knight, and then Injection came out with Shalvey as well. Trees, there might be one other thing in there that Ellis kind of did, but also like everything kind of got a little bit more popular again. That was around the time, I think 2018 ish.
2018, 2019.
I read Planetary for the first time. And it was like, why are we even talking about Watchmen? That's talked about in Joss Whedon. I shared a thought with Joss Whedon, motherfucker. I was like, why are we not? We should be like, after I read Planetary, it was like, this is the thing everybody should be pointing to, which everybody did, right? Like, there's so many things downstream of Planetary that don't happen without it. But even still, up until like there's this window of time, even Iron Man 3, which adapts Extremis from Ellis, there's still this time in there where Ellis is kind of like a low-key goat. Like he's not that guy in a major way. So it's really weird timing for this documentary. Like, there's no good reason for people to be like, oh, look, Warren Ellis, besides the fan club doing that, And yeah, even still, I think, like, again, like I named Moon Knight is the only thing he's done in the last decade that is laudatory, right?
Yeah.
Well, Castlevania is a weird one.
That's also
that
a weird
liked.
thing because like he still kept. Well, that was out of contract. Contract.
I think his name was just on it. There was a lot of discussion around that. I think he had just.
he's not
too
on
much
Nocturne,
of it.
so it would definitely have to have been in like a finishing up the contract kind of thing. But the aura around that last season of Castlevania was so. It was a miasma. It wasn't an aura. It was a miasma.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that also goes into the whole like Ellis comeback, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think, watching this documentary in 2021 would have been haunting enough as is, but like the fact that we are now at the point where Ellis is effectively back in full swing is what makes this such an awful viewing for me. Is that knowing that even despite everything that happened 9 years after this documentary came out, we're now back in an even worse spot, with Ellis having not changed. Like so many of us websites' last update was that they were not able to reach transformative justice with Ellis. And just it just sucks. It really does just suck.
Yeah.
Ellis's edgelord persona is one of the most unsavory aspects of this documentary. Did you guys catch the moment where he went full Gervais?
I don't know.
Was this related to
Just say
Thatcher,
it.
or was
Just
it?
say it.
So he's talking about these terrorist attacks, and he then says this really weird reactionary comment where he's like, "Oh, in England we've had so many terrorist attacks. I'm bloody well used to them at this point while I smoke my bloody cigarettes." He's doing this whole thing, and then he mentions one specific attack and how someone's reaction was, "This is so awful. I wish Superman could come down and save us." And then he reacts with total horror to this statement. It's like he looks at this like such an intellectual that he's actually an idiot. Like, someone saying they want Superman to come down is purely someone speaking from an emotional place. Like, they're overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. This is something they were never prepared for. You can't really judge what a horrified person is saying in that statement. But instead, his reaction is, I thought that was so anti-evolutionary. Sky Daddy's not going to come down to save us.
Yeah.
The smugness, the condescension, his disgust with fellow people who are reacting with terror it makes him so repulsive.
He's an annoying guy for sure, especially in this. But I like, there's part of me that's like, any documentary built this way is going to be mostly annoying. Like, the person's going to be mostly annoying. I just don't let anybody make a documentary about you, is what I've learned from watching this one and Neil Gaiman. Like, never let someone, never ever, like, let them do a documentary about your job. Sure, that's okay. I never want someone looking into the camera saying good things about me. Please kill me. If that's happening, I hope I'm dead. I hope I am not alive anymore. That's the only time anyone's allowed to do that.
It's so much like the Joe Rogan of comics, just like, am I blowing your mind?
Yeah.
Well, and that speaks to the whole Arrested Development aspect, right? Like, in any other context, of course this is going to seem like a fucking loser, right? But because comics and comics fandom is so regressed, like, people like Ellis do seem like iconoclasts, do seem like these heralds of a new future for what comics can be, because everything prior was so anodyne,
Yeah, I'm not going to defend this, okay? But this is forum behavior, right? Mm-hmm. This is like forum behavior, and they're trapped in it. It's 2011 now, and they should be over it. It should be done. But this is forum behavior. Like, we spent 7 years in a forum together, and this is what we do, right? Like, there's in 15 years, some of the things we have posted will be just as edgelord and annoying as that. Not edgelord, but like, it'll be just as annoying to the Keigen to the Midnight Grappler Animals of 2040s. They will be like, that was some bullshit. Like,
I completely agree. Calling this forum behavior is so accurate, and there are things I've posted and said that I'd probably take back now. But the difference is there's a whole different vibe to like a text post versus I'm intentionally sitting down in front of the camera.
Yeah,
and I'm giving you my face and my voice.
Agree. This is a club. This is clubhouse pornography, is what this is. This is like, you put this on the wall, and that's the only place this should be published. Like, this being on YouTube is disgusting. This should not be available. It feels like you should have. This should only exist on VCR, like, or on whatever, on tape. Like, there's every part of this is ill-conceived, and I would never advise.
Speaking of the talking heads, I have to ask Lan. I need the live Lan reaction. How did you feel when your boy Rich showed up?
Oh, buddy. Listen.
Welcome.
The UK is a place that repulses me. Just genetically, as just the concept of the United Kingdom repulses me so much. But it repulses me even more to know that there are people like Rich Johnston that exist within the UK, because it's not just one Rich Johnston. There's a swath of Rich Johnstons.
That's like a class that you can become in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there are people that are born in the UK every day, and their prospect in life is to be a Rich Johnston-esque character. And it's such a horrifying thing, it's just like when a child is born with some kind of life-altering malediction, this affliction that will forever haunt them and give them a worse quality of life for the rest of their lives, And so, with that being said, like, when Rich Johnston showed up, just
you got a rush. Your blood pressure. I'm
trying to keep my blood pressure low.
Oh no!
And and I was thinking, well, I'm like, Helen Mirren, because she's one of the first people to show up in this documentary, right? I'm like, Helen Mirren is probably the worst person that they could get for this documentary. When Rich showed
and then
up,
Joss Whedon.
I was like, and then Joss Whedon shows up, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. I stand corrected.
It's got a real cavalcade of horrors here.
It's a veritable who's who. All the stars are here. And I was thinking, when Rich Johnson showed up, I'm like, damn, this is around the same time that he was writing Iron Muslim.
Oh, that's
right. No, is it really?
It really
is. 2011?
2011.
I never remember
definitely writing.
This. That's 2002 behavior. That's
and when you see him in this documentary, you're like, yeah, that actually is the face, the body, the mind,
the voice,
dude. The voice, especially.
I think American Nerd Voice is bad, right? There's those guys, they went viral talking about Marvel movies. I can't even remember the specific take. I just remember they're horrible. Those guys have horrible American Nerd Voice. Nerd Voice from British accent is just a different level, though. Like, you weren't supposed to come up out of the earth. Like, you're supposed to stay down there, dude.
When I think about, comics, and part of the reason why it has such again, an arrested development, the thing I think about is the fact that it has allowed guys like Rich Johnston to have careers, to be people whose voices are taken seriously. I just in writing, you're like, damn, I can't believe people take this guy seriously. But then you see him, and you're
how did
like,
anyone let him live?
How did? Well, yeah, that's. How did the baby not get thrown out with the bathwater?
It's my own personal grace that he lives. That's how I feel when I see him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This he talks with the composure of a person who thinks he deserves to live. And it's shocking to see, because it's not like he shows up one time in this documentary.
You shouldn't have those feelings. It doesn't make any sense.
And that
we
was
love you, ugly people. Ugly
and that
people,
was
we love
15
you.
years
There's so
ago.
many reasons to hate Rich Johnston, though.
15 years ago, and he's still alive today as we're recording this. He's still alive.
Isn't that incredible?
Shocking,
Anything can happen. You can do anything in this life.
I want to mention the Arrested Development you keep alluding to, Lan, because there's a fascinating moment in this movie where that becomes textual and not subtextual.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these interviews are like blink and you miss it, but there is briefly an interview with Eric Stevenson of Image Comics.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
He gives like such a cringy soundbite, but because he's such a white bread of a guy, just like such a forgettable dude, it almost goes over your head. But when they're talking about Transmetropolitan, he goes, when Ellis was writing Transmetropolitan for us, that was one of the last exciting times in comics. It's so old head.
I that's really loaded now, though, too, right? Like,
right.
He's a huge fan. Of course he's gonna greenlight a book. He's been a fan forever.
But saying that it's like the last exciting time in comics, it's like that's before the documentary is even filmed, right? Like these guys are just constantly looking backward. And that's the Arrested Development part I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
Like they're not interested in the hot new talent. They just want to hang with the boys and keep regurgitating the same stuff.
But even more, that's what I mean, though, right? Like this, he is the what is the title, Lan? What's the title for Image's EIC? Is it editor-in-chief?
It is still editor-in-chief, yeah.
Whatever. He's the
chief publisher.
Eric Stevenson, chief publisher, yeah. He was the first guy added to Image's board as well who wasn't an artist. Robert Kirkman came after him, I believe.
Yeah.
And so he is the publisher of Image Comics, though. He greenlights books, you know. And the fact that he is still he's willing to solicit a Warren Ellis comic in 2026, right? Like, that's happening right now. He's doing that. That guy you're talking about. So like the Arrested Development is still here. It was there in 2011 when he was talking about comics from 2006. Now in 2026, he's saying, yes, Warren Ellis is the guy, right? Well, meanwhile,
It's so
the
regressive.
only good Image comics that are happening right now are comics that launched between 2012 and 2014 that are still running. Those are the only Image comics that are worth reading. And he is choosing Warren Ellis to be a new comic writer in 2026.
It's such an insult to an entire medium and everyone who's contributed.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and even like, I don't think any of those Warren Ellis Forum graduates, so I'm choosing to call them in this moment, I don't think any of them have a book at Image right now. None of them. Oh no, Gillen does. Gillen has one. So of the people featured in the documentary, who went on to make comics who aren't dead, I think the only one who has a book at Image right now is Kieran Gillen. I could be wrong. One of the artists might.
Do we also talk about the union aspect of this?
The union aspect of this?
Well,
like
of Image and publishing.
Yeah. I mean,
because I mean that the founding of the Image Comics Union was not long after.
Yeah, it was partly, and I think it was, there were a lot of situations between 2010 and 2020 where, the reason the union is being brought up is because one of their demands was that the workers of Image Comics would have a say in what was published, could have a say in what was published. I don't know what mechanism they would actually ever get there, right? I don't know what vote they would have to do. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how that would work given the libertarian aspect of Image. And I'm not criticizing the union. I just don't know what that would actually look like. But that was one of their demands that they wanted added in the process of unionizing. And I think it was the United States of Hysteria was one of the ones with Keigen, that cover. And then, of course, Warren Ellis tried to solicit some stuff, I think in 2020. Like, pretty soon after, there was some Ellis stuff that was going to come out. I think it was a combination of those two things that made them go, like, look, you guys are causing stupid PR. We are your PR people. Like, we should have a say in this. Which is good. I did try to dive into the NLRB, like, file paperwork with the Comic Book Workers Union that they were doing. It looks like they were successful in unionizing, and they actually have filed 2 unfair labor practices in the last 2 years. There's not a lot of details, and you have to do a
FOIA
records request. Yeah, and I tried to do that, but there was a fee, and I was like, I'm not doing that. It's also not going to be fast enough to be usable here, so I was like, I don't care. But it does look like they were successful. I don't know why they haven't communicated anything, which is also why I kind of think they're getting trapped in ULPs as far as like the union getting fully recognized. And I think that's kind of where they're at, where Image they're not respecting all of the wishes of the union, because they're like in this weird limbo state. But I'm not positive. And it looks like one of the ULPs was successful, but I can't really tell because I can't see the real documentation. But yeah, I mean, it'd be sick for that union to actually do anything. I did also send an email to them, so we'll see if the union email is usable or not. Mostly because we're filing ULP at work, and I'm like, what's this process like? I've never done one. So
yeah. And it's, I don't know, man. What a weird time to be in. Like, a lot of the people, especially with that 2020 run of comics, especially, like Cameron Stewart's back at Penthouse Comics. He's been back for a while.
Yeah,
Jason Latour.
Back. Latour's is Latour's
getting
is
work.
Tough to me. Latour, yeah, I mean, he that one's weird right? Because most of his comeback is his personal work that he sold on Kickstarter.
Right.
I believe that got solicited at Image now, but again, Image is so libertarian. Like they're basically Amazon as far as like you can just publish a book there. If you have the money to pay their printers, they don't really care, which is unfortunate. But I also, it's like, we know that's true. If that makes sense. Like that's how they've been doing business for some time. It's been some time since they've been doing that. Cameron Stewart's a weird one because like the Penthouse stuff that I think he only did covers.
I think he did some inner art too.
Did he? I don't know. Those I don't even know how many of those Penthouse comics have come out. So, but yeah, I mean, cancelling's fake. So
yeah,
one
so
aspect
really. Sorry. I just wanted to say, canceling is so fake that Ed Piskor truly did take the coward's way out.
Yeah. He made a permanent decision for a temporary problem. You know.
Yeah, and that's the worst part about it, is that not enough people are taking the same decision that Ed Piskor did. Sorry, Salt, you were saying.
One aspect of this that I want to address is like how people in the network, either collaborators or peers, choose to speak up or not speak up. And that in itself is a really complex topic. Like who has to speak up, like who has an obligation to speak up versus who doesn't. I'm not claiming that that's like cut and dry, very clear. But two figures I'd like to contrast is Kelly Sue DeConnick and Grant Morrison, because Kelly Sue DeConnick has explicitly spoken up about how shameful and horrifying this all was.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, she hasn't collaborated with him especially recently or used any of his creations, but you can tell me if I'm wrong there. I'm thinking like last 5 years.
Yeah, no.
I mean, they were very close too. Like I think if anybody like
again, the Warren Ellis Forum is the reason why she and Matt Fraction are
totally
right.
And like then she is one of, I think her complexity of her feelings on this are, please don't ever share it with anybody, Kelly. Like you do not have to do that. But also it's just like she was absolutely used as a shield for him, right? Like not on her part. She didn't choose to do that. So like she was used in a very different way than a lot of other women. And like I think, the degree, like she tiptoed on the line dangling above sharks in the ocean in the way that she helped facilitate so many of us, but never put her voice above anybody, used her platform to extend it as well. Just really deft, like actually a good person choices were made there that like she shouldn't be celebrated either. Like all of these people did an incredibly brave thing, but like her part in it is like, it was the hardest thing to like, she was in a very difficult position through all of it, and she like made the right choices, and that's like crazy. But anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, no, thank you for that context. I completely agree, and I find those actions to be admirable. Versus you look at Grant Morrison, who had talked up Warren Ellis's talents for years, and as recently as 2021 was writing that Superman mini at DC featuring the Authority. And this is after those allegations have already come out.
Yeah.
And there's no broader point here other than like, look at the disparity in these two reactions.
Yeah. You know what, you bring up Morrison, and then like I did not realize Ennis was such good friends with Ellis either.
But the funny thing is, Ennis feels the most pragmatic out of any of these people being interviewed. It's like
they were childhood friends too, right? So it's like this isn't a weird like there's not a power imbalance here, right? Ennis is like, whatever, if you like Ellis's book more, fuck you. Like my Punisher is awesome, so shut the fuck up, right? Like that's the sort of vibe, and so it feels like a normal person talking about somebody, unlike literally everyone else in here who is a fan of Ellis first and foremost. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's the only person you don't feel secondhand embarrassment for because
Yeah,
he's actually like catching his breath. He's not going
right.
like
He's not
all
like fanish.
huge-eyed. Yeah, he's not fanning out so hard.
Yeah. Literally everyone else is like there to do PR for Ellis, and Ennis is just like, yeah, man, he was cool. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's a pretty good writer, huh? Yeah. Watch The Boys in a few years when it comes out. Like, no, that's an interesting point about Morrison too. Like, just the apoliticalness of Grant Morrison is fascinating.
I mean, especially the further and further we go,
Yeah.
Morrison's appreciation, we'll say, of AI, it's it is what it is.
Found myself recalling recently how Grant Morrison's dad threatened to shoot the Queen's dogs in front of the Queen, and
Nice.
apples do fall far from trees.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're on a hill, the apple
Sometimes-
rolls,
Oh,
And
Sometimes
the-
they're writing
the-
books that are considered punk, but the definition of punk, it's so fluid. It's
true.
We
We learned about that.
Words can mean anything.
Punksgiving
days.
episode. Head over to the feed and listen to the Punksgiving. I learned a lot. I became a punk.
That's
that
right.
day.
Yeah.
Keigen's a
Yeah.
punk now.
I'm a punk now.
What's
dude.
what he says? Punk. I'm a punk rocker.
That's right. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Dude, I wrote down so many Ellis quotes, and if I could only
Yeah.
share one more Ellis quote from this documentary, it
Mhm.
was, when the comic money runs out, I'll become a human trafficker.
Okay. That one was crazy. That one made me.
That was
I had
insane.
to pause. I had to pause, and I made myself a little child mac and cheese because I was like, I can't deal with this right now. Okay. There's another one. Advice he would give himself. It would start with a list of women you shouldn't talk to, and nights you shouldn't get drunk.
Dude, this documentary was so crazy that, like, I must have blocked that out as it was happening. Because, like,
Don't ever say those words, dear
fuck?
listener. Don't ever say those words out loud unless you're quoting Warren Ellis. My God, there was one other one, which was from Caitlin. He is the only man in the world that I will let say to me, Caitlin, shut the fuck up.
that was crazy. His
heart
Hitler
changed
story.
rhythm.
His Hitler story is so funny.
Well, the thing that I hate about this is that like his ego was fed to the degree that he was able to be a monster, and that's the part that I'm like, there's no sorrow for him, but it is the sort of thing that is like, this is replicable. We are replicating this constantly. Like, this is why Mr. Beast is the way he is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Because they get gassed up so much.
Yeah, we could explain so many guys with this, and it's like, but how does it happen with Warren fucking Ellis, the fake goat? Like that's the part that makes me crazy. And the same thing we've talked about Gaiman so much, that it's the same thing, that it's just like, oh my God, how is it happening on this level?
Because comics is an environment where it's so easy to do that, right? Like no other medium, no other community is it so easy.
Again, I think the punk or like
Spartans.
the rock star comparison is there too, because it's like the rock star in the county can do this, right? Like that guy who tours around
Big
your
fish,
county.
small pond.
Exactly, and that's what it is.
That ties directly back into the Gaiman documentary where he wanted to be a punk rocker before he was going to be a comics artist, and then comics writer. And then on like his 5th gig or whatever, someone threw a beer bottle at his head and he said, "I'm out." But he still wanted that same glory,
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Okay, I think we're just about there. I do want to, again, I just want to bring up so many of us. This is the model of like community restorative justice that we can point to as like a real thing, even if it wasn't fully successful, even if, Ellis didn't buy into it the way he needed to for everybody, for us, the people, to feel good. it is a model of restorative justice, and it is like a real attempt at doing a thing, right? I've talked about canceling enough on this podcast that I feel like my opinion on it being like, this is a weird thing that we're inventing and we're trying to figure out how to do it, and it's like not good, but it's better than it could be. Like, this is the model, and like I really go to so many of us, like, if you don't want to read the testimonials because you don't want to have those feelings, that's okay. But like the updates and the way they communicate what was to happen here is really good. And especially like, I think part of the conversation around canceling is always, especially with works of art that aren't novels, is like there are other people's reputations, there's other people's financial burdens at stake here. It isn't just one person, whether it's a movie, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a comic book. There are more people here, unless if we're talking about Cerebus, which, like, yeah, fuck Dave Sims, right? Like, no, it's fine. But like, so many of us outlines that, like, we're not trying to cancel him. We're not trying to tell you, we're not calling for a boycott. We're not calling you to hate his work or throw his work away. We want restorative justice. We want to go through the process with Warren Ellis. We want him to understand what happened here. We want to be able to communicate that happened. It really is a great work. Like, the people who put this together.
It's a framework. It's a framework for sure.
It is. And like, even just apart from its job as a restorative justice, like, they're keeping it up as a framework. And like, again, like, you know, I did go fanish over Kelly Sue a minute ago in this episode, but like every single person who contributed to so many of us is incredible. Like, they put their experience out in order to develop a framework for something better, and something that, like, you can't complain about this being canceling. You know what I mean? Like, whatever example the men's rights activists want to bring up as canceling that was bad, shut the fuck up and look at this then, and like, let's try to create a culture where this could happen, because it would be better for everyone, including Warren Ellis, if he bought into this. And I really like it. It just continues to be this great work that exists. Even apart from, it's like something that they created so much value out of their experiences, and it's something that, like, really brave, cool thing that I'm just happy exists, and like, it sucks the context of it, but it's just such a good work. Deserves to be seen, paid attention to, and adopted.
Yeah.
And with that, I think that's the episode.
Quick question: does this director have any other documentaries?
There's a Grant Morrison one. I don't think they've aged. Any of them have aged as poorly.
Well, yeah, I think this and the Game one have probably aged the poorest, for obvious reasons.
I do. This is a bad documentary, though, right?
It's a bad. Yeah, that's. Yeah, sorry. To close things out here, it's not just the fact that, like, the subject matter is awful. The documentary and the documentary style, and this is an issue, like, you know, especially in the Netflix era, the documentary and the artistry of the documentary has gone to complete shit, right? The fact is that you can make a documentary out of everything and anything now, and there's no care for what exactly the purpose of a documentary is and what exactly a documentary is supposed to do. Take, for example, that shitty ass quote-unquote documentary about that YouTube pedophile that was released not too long ago before the recording of this episode. You know, it's not a documentary by, like, it. Not to say that the documentary form has fallen off, that aren't good documentaries, but a lot of people make documentaries because they think it's the easiest type of movie to make, without realizing that, like, there is a purpose to the documentary. The element of, you know, what is the director's intent? What is the director trying to say? Yeah, and again, even with the narrative through line of the Gaiman documentary, like, what is that trying to say? What is this one trying to say? What are any of Mr. Meany's other documentaries actually trying to say about the people that he's covering? You know?
On that note,
Yeah.
and to answer your question, Meany is now making narrative films. However, two potential candidates, if you wanted to follow this up, is there's one for Image called The Image Revolution, and there's another one called She Makes Comics.
Oh.
Well, that was one that Meany produced. That actually might be a good
produced.
one.
Okay.
The
Image Revolution, like the word hagiography came up quite a bit during this episode, and I can't imagine Image Revolution being anything.
It would be a horrible time, which is
It would
probably
be a
why
horrible
we'll
time.
do it.
The cover is so good.
Ugh. Oh wait, I did have one other thought. It's gone.
It's gone.
I'll see if I remember it. But if not, that's our episode, I think. So, this is my question. This is kind of a separate. Yeah, this is a good question. Is James Gunn the new Joss Whedon?
That's dangerous. That's a dangerous line of thought.
Is
That
James
is
No,
very
so
dangerous line
I
of
gotta
thought.
shut this down right away, because I think being annoyed with someone and then someone being like an actual monster are different things.
I'm sorry.
So, like,
Pre-knowledge.
before-
Pre-knowledge. Sorry, stop.
Pre-allegations.
2011 Joss Whedon. Yeah, like 2016
2012,
Joss Whedon, even.
Avengers.
Right. We know that Joss Whedon killed a kid in a frozen pond. Joss Whedon. Okay. Like, is James Gunn now inhabiting that area in the nerd space? He's the guy who picks up Mjolnir to announce that he's the Avengers director, right? Like is he taking up that space in culture? Now
Here's
he's
what I'm
the
gonna
nerd
say.
director.
Here's what I'm gonna say. There is no one person
Yeah.
that is the new Joss Whedon.
Fair.
Joss Whedon has been
that
has
many
been
guys
recreated
adopted.
in the aggregate across nerd
okay.
culture.
Okay. That makes me feel better, actually, because I like James Gunn more than Joss Whedon. But like,
It's,
watching this, James Gunn is
it's a
now,
plague.
he's the director who reads comics, though, And that's kind of like, if somebody was gonna, well, he's written a comic, right? I think he co-wrote a Peacemaker comic, like one 32-page floppy. Anyway, that was just the thought I had. Is James Gunn the new Joss Whedon? So I guess on that note, dear listener, now that I've breathed that out into the ether, I've said it into a microphone, we can end this episode. Patreon.com/MidnightGrapplerAnimals. Go there. We will be, from this date, tomorrow, we're going to record something that I think is going to be really fun. I think it'll be a really good time. So, Patreon.com/MidnightGrapplerAnimals. You'll have that episode soon-ish from whenever this comes out, probably. That'll be there. Might even be before. Who knows? Other than that, communicate with us through Discord. Honestly, Discord is the best way. Join the Discord. It's the link below. If you're scared of interacting with people on Discord because of parasocial and social things, that's cool. Like, just live in life then. It's cool. I'm happy to be a voice in your car and not ever interact with you. That's okay. Other than that, interact with us wherever, whatever, dude. Enjoy. Be happy. I don't think there's anything else I have to say. So we're going to Tastemaker's Grab Bag. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Wonderful.
Actually, there's one that I want to save for the next time I'm on an episode with Salt. But for now, I'm gonna recommend Pentiment.
Oh.
The video game Pentiment. I'm not a Christian. Never have been. Never will be. I think.
Congratulations.
But this game is quite good, despite the fact that I have no connection or attraction to the Christian faith. Very good game. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I forget if I recommended it the last time I was on.
You did, but say it again.
I finished it.
Cool.
It.
Like 200 hours or whatever?
Yeah, it was like something like that.
Disgusting.
Other movies. Oh, Tony. I saw Tony. the new Matt Johnson, Anthony Bourdain biopic. I saw that last night. Very good.
Whoa.
Dominic
Wait.
Sessa, man, that's a talent.
I didn't even know.
That's a talent.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
That's going to be my movie of the year, maybe. I'm so
I'm
excited.
glad that dude got to do a good movie because I saw him in a really bad movie earlier.
What
Was it a Now You See Me, Now You Don't?
No,
Was it? Was it?
I watched Oh What Fun with Michelle Pfeiffer
What
and
the
Dennis
fuck is
Leary.
What the fuck is this movie? Sorry.
Forget it.
This
Forget
is-
it. Let's keep going.
Okay, yeah, sorry. That's all I'm gonna recommend. That you completely shocked the last thing I had out of my mind.
Oh, what fun. Yeah, go ahead and write it down when you remember it, Lan. I've had to do that recently. My goodness.
Oh, what fun.
That's hilarious. All right, Salt, your turn.
Well, first I gotta say I'm gonna be thinking about whatever Land's other grab bag item was
He'll he'll
until
come
I
back
learn
around.
it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
next time.
next time.
One of us might jog it.
Yeah. I don't have anything I've completed, but I've been chipping away at Dan Simmons' Hyperion, the sci-fi novel. I don't know if I recommended that already.
Okay.
Oh,
But,
okay.
It's wild. It was
That's
it was
cool.
written in '89, and there's a lot
89.
of stuff that feels pretty prescient to now. So yeah, if you
That's
want some
what's fun.
trippy sci-fi, read Hyperion.
Okay. I got
It's
a few.
probably a very libertarian book, but you
Okay.
know,
Listen.
I've long said that libertarians are like some of the best at doing like sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. Also, on top of that, we could drag a libertarian over to communism.
We
They
could.
just are dumb.
could.
They're just dumb. They're closer to communism though. Like you could get a libertarian over to communism easier than you could get a lib over to communism. And that's what matters. Because you could trick a libertarian into thinking libertarianism is communism because they're dumb.
You could. I think so. This book takes place in the 28th century, and like one of the
Ooh.
coolest, most badass characters is this Palestinian soldier.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just
Okay.
like, I think your brain is cooked, Dan Simmons, but the fact that you included
Shouts,
this
though.
is awesome.
Yeah. All right. Hyperion.
Yeah.
Dan Simmons. Okay. All right. I do have a few. The Odyssey. I saw it. See it in IMAX. People complaining about the sound either were at a bad mix, right, or are stupid. Okay. It is very loud. It's very loud, and there are pitches that may cause your ears to feel some discomfort. There's also moments that are the coolest sounds I've ever heard. Yeah.
You just got to
So
bring earplugs, you know? Like I bring earplugs to a rock show. Just bring them to the
there's
movie theater.
there's those loop earplugs that just cancel out specific frequencies that are supposed to be like extremely like. Why do I know this? Because I work with people with developmental disabilities who
Of course. Yes.
So those seem like an extremely good option for something like this, where it's just like, well, I don't want to hear like the higher frequencies, but like I want to hear. But it's like it shakes your brain. It was cool. The sound is very very cool in that movie. It's a good time. But IMAX sound mixing it matters. Fury, My War Gone By. I finished that the other night. Barracuda,
Nice.
incredibly racist character.
Yes.
Really can't overstate how racist Barracuda is as a character. However, what a yarn that is. My
It's
goodness.
very similar to the Chinese restaurant in the hood TikTok in many ways, where like objectively very racist, objectively
But,
very
like-
racist, but like holistically speaking,
right.
the artistry
Yes.
is-
Yes.
yeah,
Exactly correct.
Yeah.
What a book. I
The bottom line, Barracuda is the Chinese restaurant in the hood
yeah.
of comic characters.
Yeah. What a comic though. Oh my goodness. I hate America too, Garth Ennis. Thank you. And you know what? I'm gonna do one to end out the show. You know what comic book? You know what omnibus I finally pulled off my shelf and read all of a month ago-ish? Planetary.
Wow.
Ugh.
And it's a
Boo!
fucking banger, guys.
Get him out of here.
It's so good. It was just as good as the first time I read it. Even the African cuckery, even that was just as good.
I should have just cut. You know what? I should just cut the episode.
Edit this out.
No. Like I'm gonna cut it as you saying planetary, and then that's the end of the episode.
Anyway, thank you for listening. Until next time.
Keep on grappling.
grappling.
It's a banger.